And we kick it off with the hot topic of the hour. Time is ticking on the government shutdown deadline after the new Trump-backed funding bill fails to pass in the House. Fox News digital political correspondent Brooke Singman now with the very latest. Brooke, good morning.
Good morning, Maria. That's right. So the blame game begins after the GOP's Trump-backed bill failed, with 38 Republicans voting against the proposal. But Elon Musk is pointing fingers at Democrats, saying, quote, a super fair and simple bill was put to a vote and only 2 Democrats in Congress were in favor. Therefore, responsibility for the shutdown rests squarely on the shoulders of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who was against the bill from the start.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
But time is running out, and Republicans know they can't get a bill through alone.
If we're going to pass something, there's going to have to obviously have Democrat support. So we'll see what happens. But nothing can happen in this Congress without Democrat support.
And whether we get a new bill today remains to be seen.
What's the play tomorrow?
What's the plan?
Stay tuned.
Well, we keep hearing that. You going to run another bill tomorrow, though?
We'll see.
Here's where the incoming president stands. Trump saying, quote, Congress must get rid of or extend out the 2029, the ridiculous debt ceiling. Without this, we should never make a deal. Remember, the pressure is on whoever is president. So right now, members of Congress are warning to expect a government shutdown at midnight tonight, Maria.
All right, Brooke, thanks very much. Brooke with the latest there. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, meanwhile, posted this on X last night. President Trump and Republicans should not be afraid of a government shutdown. The next election is 2 years away. We had 2 shutdowns in 1995 and became the first re-elected House GOP majority since 1928. It may take shock therapy for Schumer and Democrats to learn President Trump is serious about draining the swamp. You know, I think Newt makes a great point, Rebecca. Why are we so afraid of a government shutdown?
To your point, Maria, I 100% agree. Like, this is actually what needs to happen in a system that's failing. And, you know, when you look at the bill that didn't pass, it's like Nancy Mace had a stack of it like this high. And she was basically saying, like, let's outline this. And what really bothers me, Maria, is that they basically pushed this to the table for the next administration. They said, hey, let's raise the debt ceiling and readdress it in January of 2025. So now you've got a new administration coming in that has so much pressure and such a small margin of, you know, majority that it's going to be very hard. It has to be bipartisan. But here's the thing. They're trying to put so much pork into this bill that, you know, when you're looking at what they're trying to do, they're holding up funding, Maria, for Hurricane Helene relief victims and disaster relief. They're putting disaster relief in this with all the pork so that it gets through. And the American public, and specifically with Doge, highlighting this on X, is saying, no, we're tired of it. Well, let's actually have a government that we want and that's accountable. And so they've got to fix this. But this is a problem that we are constantly spending more than we actually have to spend.
Well, I mean, Todd Pyro, this is the moment when the rubber meets the road. And we've been at this point before. And usually the Republicans cave because they don't want a government shutdown to be on their watch. They don't want to be blamed for a government shutdown. I'm hearing Republicans, certainly MAGA Republicans, say, bring it on. So what? Will they cave this time around or take it to the mat?
There's a lot of pressure to not cave this time around because of Donald Trump. What I find fascinating, what I love about your show, Maria, is that you speak truth to power, especially when it comes to the Republicans. You will call out the Republicans, so I will use this show to do that here. So many of these Republicans who ran for re-election in the House said, we are all for Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. We need to streamline government. And they used it to win their campaigns. But then, to your point, when the rubber meets the road, they're all like, oh, no, let's go back to the good old days. Well, no. Not anymore. There is a mandate. There is a feeling of a new day in our country. And the old D.C. is gone, or at least it is supposed to be gone if you listen to the mandate of the American people. And so, to the point that you both made before, I don't think that Republicans, specifically the MAGA Republicans, really do care if they can't go to national parks over the course of the next couple weeks. I think in the long run, there's a bigger prize at the end of this rainbow, and it is streamlining our government so that we're not $36 trillion in debt and growing in the coming year.
Yeah, but you know what? Now, I mean, the people who are afraid are the people who are worried about the speaker. I mean, Speaker Mike Johnson's gavel may be on the line now. The critics are circling after all this spending drama. Some names already being floated to replace him, include Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. Look, the vote is January 3rd. For the Speaker of the 119th Congress. Utah Senator Mike Lee, however, made some surprising suggestions. Here he is reacting to the bill's failure last night. Watch this.
Schumer, McConnell, Johnson, and Jeffries, the firm. They did this. This isn't
McConnell
Congress.
and
This is
Schumer.
four guys. It's an historic moment. It's fallen apart. And as a result, somebody's going to have to lose their job over this. I don't think the Speaker is going to remain in power. That's my prediction. We need bold new leadership, outside leadership, and I think it needs to be a Doge Speaker. It needs to be either Vivek Ramaswamy or it needs to be Elon Musk. Never seen so much attention, so much respect for two people in our entire caucus, in the Senate and in the House.
So you're officially nominated.
That is pretty remarkable. How would you like to see a Speaker Elon Musk or a Speaker Vivek Ramaswamy? That's what you just heard from Mike Lee, Rebecca.
You know, Maria, the system is broken as is. Status quo must end. It must die. This is the death knell of it. I hope to God we do not get back to normal status quo. The American people will not have it this time. We need differences, and I love these bold proposals. Not saying that it is constitutional, but I love the suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely not traditional, and we are looking at all ideas on the table right now. We'll see what Mike Johnson comes up with today. A lot of support for Mike Johnson as well. So let's see what he comes up with today. We're just getting started this morning. Got a lot on Amazon. Rebecca, the unions know exactly when it's going to hurt hardest. Right before Christmas is one of those times.
Just like the shippers wanted to shut down the ports right before the election, right, Maria?
Right.
I mean, this is the most bizarre story. We had Amazon basically keep at bay unionization a couple years ago as we saw that vote failed. And then they were trying to get secret ballots to vote for it again. And all these things have collapsed on them. It hasn't worked. Now you've got third-party drivers that aren't even actually employees of the company saying, well, we're working for them and we're going to impact you and we're going to strike anyways, even though we're not actually Amazon employees. It is so bizarre. It is the union basically still trying to have, an impact. And I'm not saying I'm against unions, but what I am saying is that Amazon is a new business model. It's basically brought, obviously, e-commerce to dominate even Walmart and the brick and mortar side. And Maria, they are losing their power, and this is why they're doing these types of things to really say, hey, and bring this attention to what they're paying their people because they're not able to unionize. And we've seen Amazon do all kinds of warehouses in Florida and states that are right to work so they can avoid the unions altogether.
Yeah, but, look, Todd, they do this because they can do it. OK, they know that they're going to get a better deal. That's been the case. Joe Biden made it very clear over the last couple of years. Yeah, your wages will go up. I will go on the picket line. Corporations are bad. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it has the ability to make Amazon, which is not a very sympathetic corporation in the eyes of the public, somewhat sympathetic when they decide to do this and basically hold hostage, if you will, the consumer, hold hostage Amazon right before Christmas. It reminds me of, I don't know, that story we talked about in the last hour, that whole government shutdown thing. Magically, it always happens right before Christmas every single year. But what's so weird about this situation, Maria, I can't think of a strike or protest, whatever you want to call it, where the fundamental question of, do these people work for us, has not yet been answered. It reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where Kramer gets fired and he doesn't even work at the company, and the boss is like, but you don't even work here. And that's what makes this so tough. It's the weirdest situation. They're also, Amazon is suing the National Labor Relations Board. Somebody else that's suing the National Labor Relations Board is Starlink, which is run by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Obviously, Elon Musk in a lot of meetings with Donald Trump. Donald Trump partially won this election because he won the union vote, something Republicans don't do. This is an odd story. It has many layers, and so we'll be watching it. The fact of the matter is, I don't think it's going to hurt the consumer as much as the media and the strikers would like people to believe.
Who stole Christmas? Come on.
Well, I mean, all of this together is like, a three-packed punch for markets because you've got the Amazon strike, you've got the continuing resolution that failed, you've got worries over what happens next in terms of the economy. So it's all this, this multi-punch that's come into markets, and the reason that the Dow Industrials are down 212 right now. We're just getting started this hour. Quick break. We are looking ahead to the Federal Reserve's preferred reading on inflation out this morning. The November PCE index is coming out in about an hour and a half, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. The Word on Wall Street panel is here with expectations. Don't miss. Back in morning mover this morning is Bitcoin. Take a look at Bitcoin plunging this morning. It is down to 92,213, below 93,000 as the sell-off intensifies. It's down 9% in 24 hours, where it was priced above $102,000 after the Federal Reserve signaled fewer rate cuts next year and sent risk on plummeting. Bitcoin hitting an all-time high of above $108,000 earlier this week before the Fed. It is time for the Word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me now is former Gartman letter editor and University of Akron Endowment Fund Chairman Dennis Gartman. Also with me is Rebecca Walser this morning. Dennis, thank you so much for joining the conversation. I want to get right into it with gold prices higher this morning. But we are looking at a weekly loss for stocks after and gold after the Federal Reserve dialed back rate cut expectations for next year. Some analysts still see solid support for gold in 2025, including yourself. I know that. Meanwhile, the Fed's preferred inflation measure, the November PCE index, is out in about an hour and 15 minutes. We're expecting a gain of 0.2% month to month and 2.9% year over year. Dennis, what is your take on these market moves and your expectation for this data?
I think, first of all, we have to talk about Bitcoin. You're doing something in Bitcoin that we haven't seen before, or at least this year. You have an outside reversal week, a new all-time high, and now taking out the lows of the previous week. When you get outside reversal weeks, and you've got that in the NASDAQ also, and the S&P, something is up. So you have to tell yourself that I think highs have been put into Bitcoin. I think the highs have been put into stock prices. I think this is an important week. Unless we have some sort of magical rally in Bitcoin and some sort of magical rally in the S&P and the NASDAQ today, you're going to get weekly reversals, a very rare circumstance, a technical circumstance that should be paid attention to. So this is a very important week, and today is a very important day. A lot will depend upon the PCE numbers that come out. I think it'll be a little higher than up 0.2%, probably up 0.3%, and that shall be further downward pressure on stock prices and further downward pressure upon Bitcoin. So this is an important day and an important week. Pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, Dennis, but look, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a sell-off in Bitcoin. I mean, for gosh sake, Bitcoin's been up huge all year, and it's been up, I think, better than 40% just from Election Day. So I understand that we were ready for a breather here. Are you saying it's an important day because do you think this sell-off deepens?
I think the sell-off deepens dramatically over the course of the next several months. Again, when you have outside reversal weeks, which is a very rare circumstance, and you're doing it in stocks and in Bitcoin, pay attention to that fact. I could be wrong. This could be just a simply one-off circumstance, but I think there's something more happening here than just a one-off event. I think this is a reversal in stocks and a reversal in Bitcoin of consequence. So time shall tell, but I think this is an important week and an important day.
Okay. Well, look, we've seen real animal spirits this year and certainly after the election, Rebecca, because people expect easier policies, friendlier policies to business are coming in with the Trump administration. That's why you've got bankers expecting global deal volumes to surpass $4 trillion next year. Wall Street gearing up for President Trump's pro-business agenda, which will feature deregulation, cutting of regulations, and lower corporate taxes. And we know what happens in terms of deals under the Biden-Harris administration. Lena Khan over at the FTC kept saying, no, we're not going to allow any deals. But now we've got new data from DealLogic. It finds a total value of mergers and acquisitions up 15% from last year, totaling $3.5 trillion. But people are expecting that to ramp up big next year. The Conference Board's leading economic index up 0.3% in November, breaking its 3-year streak of declines following Trump's election as well. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Maria, there's a lot of mixed data. To Dennis's point, I 100% agree with him. This could be the beginning of a reversal. But here's the problem. So you do see, like, the regulatory environment was really difficult under Biden administration. You know, a lot of Department of Justice and antitrust FTC action against mergers. And we've seen that deals declared, no, it's not going to happen. So obviously with Trump, we're expecting Goldman saying that they think M&A will be up 20% next year alone. So that's a very big positive. A lot of deregulation is very big positive. But here's the difference, right? The Fed comes back, and because everything is so positive, because we have such great economic now outlook, we're saying, oh, we're going to be hawkish. We don't need as many cuts. You can't have a great economy and have a accommodative central banker. That doesn't make any sense. So the fact that the market is like, oh, wait a minute, we're not going to be also accommodative on the Fed side, that's a problem. And when you look at the leading economic indicator, Maria, it is up positive for the first time since February of 2022. So this is indicating that we actually think that we're going to actually have expansion, even though we're expecting GDP or growth to go down next year from the estimated 2.7 to 2. So we have a lot of different and disrelated data that is going to indicate that this market doesn't exactly have a sure footing of which way it's going to go. And I do think that we are due overall for absolutely a pullback.
Yeah, I mean, people want to see a pullback now rather than having a big sell-off around the inauguration. It's coming regardless. We know that. This market has been surging, and we know that things don't go to the sky. The question is, how severe will this downturn in stocks be? I mean, Dennis, I know you're expecting the downturn to continue in Bitcoin. What about equities?
I think equities go down 10 to 15% without too much difficulty. That should take time to see. But I think, again, when we've had an outside reversal in the S&P and the NASDAQ, it's a rare circumstance, and that usually presages 10 to 15% declines in share prices. So that would be my goal, my expectation.
We will be watching all of that. Dennis, good to see you. Thank you so much. Dennis Gardman. Rebecca, you're with us all morning, and we're grateful for that. Quick break, and then Mike Johnson, speaker. It's going to be a busy one as usual, Todd. Your reaction?
My favorite part of having kids, besides, creation of human life and love, is the fact that everybody travels now to us on Christmas. So I don't need to do that airport junk anymore. I hated doing it when I lived in California. I hate seeing those scenes that Kelly Saberi was showing us there in Chicago. Good luck to the rest of you, America. I'll be down in some eggnog.
Rebecca, what about you?
I mean, I travel so much, Maria. The airports are already stressful enough. At Christmas, everything else is more stressful. And I was just looking at the Hillary Clinton quote that Fox News reported in the last 8 hours, talking about, hey, this is the Republicans taking the direction from the richest person in the world and shutting down the TSA and the airports before Christmas. And these people are designed it this way. So do not buy this gaslighting and get to the airport early, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they'll definitely use any crisis to blame it on the Republicans, that we know. And that's why the Republicans are afraid of a government shutdown. Yeah. That's the whole thing, because they're going to get the blame, Todd.
Yeah, Rebecca went serious. I went jokey. But your overall point is well taken. I mean, based upon the way things are set up now, yes, Republicans would ultimately be blamed. But again, I keep making this point. This is what America voted for. They wanted to break the status quo. And I don't think the Americans are that fired up that the government's going to be shut down. At least the people that voted Trump and Elon Musk and the gang into office.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even Newt Gingrich said, don't be afraid of a government shutdown. All right, let's get a look at your forecast. Welcome back. Good Friday morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Friday, December 20th. It is 8 a.m. on the button on the East Coast. Time for the hot topic of the hour. Amazon workers coast to coast remain on strike this morning for a second straight day. With less than a week until Christmas, some live pictures from Maspeth, New York right here. Fox Business's Madison Allworth is live from an Amazon warehouse in that same city with what workers want. Madison.
Hey, good morning, Maria. Yes, day 2. And Amazon saying this is not going to interrupt deliveries before Christmas, a very vital time. But the reality here in Maspeth, New York, which is in Queens, is that we are seeing delays. I'm going to pull off this way so Jason can show you. You're taking a look at day 2 of the strike. They're marching here on the sidewalk, but they are in front of the driveway for this distribution center. So I'm going to have Jason pull off. If you can see, there's Amazon trucks, third-party vehicles that are all backed up there. These strikers are preventing them from leaving. And then every few minutes or so, which I think is about to happen now, they'll let a number of trucks come out. This is what we also saw yesterday. Yesterday, they would let one truck every 5 minutes. Now the police have stepped in, so they're letting more trucks go. But we're still seeing delays here. But like I said, Amazon saying overall, this will not impact their deliveries. The strikers here, they're prepared to protest 24/7 until Amazon meets their demands, which they say is for the company to recognize their union and to get better pay and job security. Protests have been going on since 7 a.m. yesterday. Now, they've remained peaceful, but there were 2 arrests yesterday. Protesters were blocking the roadway and were arrested for disorderly conduct. Now, Amazon says that these drivers are not Amazon employees, so there's no reason for them to come to the table, and they say impacts will be minimal. Take a listen.
We're not seeing any impacts to our network at this point. Our network is built to be flexible. We're able to shift volume from one site to another. It's really part of the magic of how we're able to deliver in the way that we do.
This is just one of 7 locations where we're seeing strikes across the U.S. Thousands of drivers that are contracted through third parties are protesting. There's also members of Teamsters who are not actively Amazon drivers or contracted by Amazon that are out at this location as well. And today, as people pull in for their job, those that are not striking, they're being given this pamphlet trying to get more workers, more drivers to join the Teamsters and to therefore join this strike just days before Christmas. Maria?
Well, it's interesting that Amazon says their network is not actually impacted by this, Madison, because of all of those outside people who are actually drivers.
Yes, so they're saying, and also even thousands of drivers, you think about how big this company is, and it's a fraction of their workforce. This is also a very dynamic company, and the spokesperson, Kelly, told me that when there are interruptions, they're able to adjust and just send traffic and volume elsewhere. So they were very firm that they do not expect this to impact Christmas deliveries.
All right. Thank you so much, Madison Allworth. Todd, your thoughts?
And to that point that Madison just said, let's say we get to December 26th and there have not been any real impacts. How much leverage do these individuals have going forward? And I think they lose all their leverage when the sword of Damocles that is Christmas Day is no longer hanging over everyone's heads. And I think they've already lost a little bit of the PR battle trying to strike and really hold Amazon to the fire a week before Christmas. If it turns out it didn't hurt Amazon to begin with, you lose all your leverage.
Yeah, Rebecca, what do you think?
Yeah, it could absolutely backfire. And you know, Maria, I'm tired of the gaslighting. It's like, let's not let a good crisis go to waste. All of these things could have been addressed way earlier, this administration, this year, and they haven't been. And now they're literally trying to hold up Christmas and be the Grinch. Not cool.
Yeah, well, that's certainly what seems to be happening in Washington with this failed CR. We're going to get right back into that. We're just getting started this hour. We'll slip in a short break. When we come back, House Speaker Mike Johnson moments ago